I'm Sean.
I'm Ian, and this is the only podcast that says
We are coming to you live to tape from the King Seat in Irwin, Pennsylvania.
nice.
Yes.
Nice place.
It is. It's actually a very nice place. It's a pool hall with a bar and a kitchen. So we're trying this out as a new place. We didn't tell anybody we're coming here, so none of our friends are here or anything like that. But it is something, maybe if this works out, if we like it, we may have other shows here.
Sure.
Ian thought I was taking him to Deliverance.
I didn't know where we were going.
It's a little bit of a drive, but it's a nice place. So how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Good, yeah. Watched a lot of shit.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good, because I haven't watched much of anything.
Yeah, I can't remember. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I watched Top Gun again.
Well, that's always, yeah.
Yeah. And I watched the new Kevin Hart movie, spy movie, not
Is that the one on Netflix where they're,
crime caper movie.
they're stealing the plane?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty good. It was entertaining.
That did look interesting. I didn't want to watch that.
And I watched, because I didn't really watch it real well the first time, but I think it's called 65.
64?
64.
The one with Adam Driver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
It's better than I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was great.
I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I was like, oh, this looks bad.
Nah,
And it was much better than I thought it was going to be.
way better.
Yeah.
I thought effect-wise it was really good.
Yeah.
And it made sense because he had a freaking gun.
Yeah.
So he could, actually take out dinosaurs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which I thought was a cool aspect of it.
Right.
And the CGI looked good. So I didn't really have any complaints about it, whatsoever. So I thought it was pretty good.
And I like that they put the clock on it. Like, here comes the comet. Here comes the killer comet.
Yeah.
So he's in a race against time to get off the plane. I thought it was like a really well done movie that I had very low expectations for.
Yeah, and the backstory was actually pretty good too. This
Yeah.
kid, that whole thing, and coming to terms with that, her death, and then with the little girl that he was with.
Yeah.
The only part that I found unbelievable during the whole thing, the whole thing's kind of unbelievable, but, was when she came out with the spear and hit T-Rex in the eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But I forgave it because of how good the rest of the movie was.
yeah. It was pretty good. So.
And Adam Driver really delivers. Like, he's probably a very underrated actor, in my opinion, for what he does.
I agree. Most everything he's in is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed that. What else? I saw. I watched the new Chappelle show.
Okay.
Not show, but
The special.
call
Yeah.
me. It was
Dreamer.
great. I won't go into it all.
Right.
It was just well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went to see the Beekeeper
Okay.
at the movies.
Yeah.
It was perfect. No one was in there.
Yeah.
So that was really good. I have to say,
It looked really good. Like, I'd like to see that.
it's above a B
Yeah.
movie. You know what I mean? Like the usual Statham movies is he goes in and kicks ass,
Yeah.
takes names. And we all know he can do that, or at least act it.
Yeah.
But this had a little bit more of a story to it,
Yeah.
which I liked. And the only thing I'm not going to spoil anything about the movie, but the Beekeeper stands for this. He is a beekeeper.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a section of the government that they're the ones that keeps everybody in line when it goes awry.
Right.
And they have total authorization. Nobody really knows about them.
Right.
Some do.
Yeah.
Heads of CIA, FBI know about them, but no one else does.
Right.
And they write the world, or write the United States, put it that way.
Yeah.
They're above the law.
Right.
And that is what they're trained for, and that's what they're mentally trained for.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even when they think they're doing, when you think they're doing something bad, in their mind, they're doing something good.
They're justified. Yeah.
And they're always justified.
Right.
So it was very entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, damn, this is a pretty good Jason Statham movie. I like Statham, but this is like 10 notches above the Meg. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like that.
Probably more in line with the ones where he's the driver.
Yeah, but better.
Yeah.
Because I think there was a better storyline.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. Like, and it wasn't like, I mean, it was Statham all the time, but the other actors in it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Were good as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I have to give it a B plus.
Yeah.
It was because it wasn't, your usual, Statham movie. Put it that way.
Right.
There's a little bit more story.
Right.
I mean, it fits right along the lines of like White House Down and all that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it kind of, it's in that realm.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really good. So
Cool.
That was way enjoyable.
Yeah. That's
It
good.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, I've been doing a lot of cards and still on the cards. I don't know. Usually I kick it by now, but
Yeah.
going through all the football cards now and
Yeah.
throwing out all this shit
Yeah.
and throwing out a lot of the old, stuff that's not worth anything and condensing. And I made a Penguins, Steelers, Pirates box,
Yeah.
and then a box of my pristines.
Yeah.
And then everything else is in the box.
Yeah.
So I'm not keeping anything worth more than less than $2.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah, actually most of the football, I'd say 50-50, or is about $2 to $3, and then the other 50 is worth like up to $8.
Right.
And I cut it up. It's weird because I cut it off at $8, and anything 8 and above goes in hard plastic.
Right. Yeah.
Anything not 8 and above,
Yeah.
I feel goes in just soft ones.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
But I have so many fucking cards that, there's just like, I don't know, I probably went through 300 tops, 1999 or 2002.
Yeah.
And a lot of those cards aren't worth jack. I mean, they're worth like 10 cents a card.
Right.
It's just not, why am I even holding on to it?
Right.
So that's what I'm doing with football. I started with football because that's my favorite. So
Yeah.
I don't know what I'll move on to next, but
Yeah.
so anyway, that's about it.
Cool.
That's all I've been doing.
Well, I did order more starting lineup figures. I ordered as part of my collection. I got, cause what I've discovered is my collection is made up of either Steelers or people who are from Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
except for Jim McMahon. Like that's the only one that's like an oddity. Like I have like Johnny Unitas, I've got Dan Marino, I've got Joe Montana. It was like, okay, it's either your Western PA or you're a Steeler. Right? Tony Dorsett is another one. So I ordered a Charlie Batch one, and I ordered a Curtis Martin, but he's in a Pitt uniform.
What's the batch in? Detroit?
Detroit, yeah. I could have gotten him in. They had one for him in Eastern Michigan, but I thought, no, I mean, if I want anything college, has to be Pitt.
Yeah.
But with Charlie Batch, I need him in that Lions uniform.
Right.
And so that's kind of cool. And I finished the first season of Monarch Legend of Monsters.
Okay.
And it was really good the entire season.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where it was like, when you watch these MonsterVerse movies, like Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Kong vs. Godzilla, Skull Island, like all of them. Like, with the exception of Skull Island, like all of them, like the human story is kind of like not necessary almost.
Right.
Like, your only real interest is in the monster fights. Like,
Right.
this takes the human story and actually makes it interesting. It's
Really?
focusing more on Monarch it's focusing more on what is Monarch, what Monarch is supposed to be, and the Titans are like a MacGuffin almost. Like it's like they're not really the focal point of the show, but they are the focal point of the show.
Right.
You know, and you know, I mean, it's supposed to be taking place a year after Godzilla. You know, the battle in San Francisco.
Okay.
And Godzilla plays a major role without being on screen all that much.
Right.
But at the end, there is a fantastic.
It pays off.
Yeah, like it's that thing of like. I guess the best way to describe it is like it's that thing of you've got to give me a little something because like the entire time like they're talking about Godzilla in a certain way, like you know Godzilla's like how do you coexist with the Titans? Can you coexist with the Titans? How do we prevent something like G-Day from happening again? Like Godzilla's a massive focal point. And at the end of it, you're kind of reminded, like, oh yeah, that's right, he is the king.
Yeah.
You know. But there's a lot of interesting stuff to take, and it really kind of like fills in the blanks of like what this odd organization is that is Monarch.
Right.
You know, like it goes back to the beginning of it, and that's where like the interesting thing about this show is that. It's got Kurt Russell in it, but it also has his son playing a younger version of Kurt Russell.
That's cool.
And so it flashes back to like the 50s and the beginnings of Monarch. It explains like John Goodman's character in Skull Island. He gets a backstory. It played, you know, like this because he's one of the founding members of Monarch.
Okay, I get you.
You know, like it takes a lot of like what's already there and really kind of pays it off a great deal.
Right.
And at the end of it, you get a huge payoff, which takes you to Kong versus Godzilla.
Okay.
You know, so there was a lot of good stuff in it. I really liked it. Like, I think I said like after watching the first 2 episodes, like. If you don't subscribe to Apple TV or Apple Plus, like now's the time to get in on that. And I don't mean to show for Apple; they're not paying me to do this, but there's enough good programming on there to like between, you know, you can watch the entire series of Ted Lasso, the show C with Jason Momoa, For All Mankind, The Morning Show. Monarch. There's enough on there now that I would say, like I was an early adapter of it just because I could get it for free for a year by subscribing to, you know, being an Apple user.
Right.
But now, like I would say, if you're somebody who hasn't subscribed to it, it is worth getting into now because there's enough programming that I feel it justifies you paying for it. So I watched that, and I watched the first 3 episodes of Echo.
I did watch the first 2 episodes of Echo.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Vincent D'Onofrio is so good as Kingpin.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Like, I know we talked about it before, but man, he is so good.
Yeah, it's very strange to me. Like, I mean, I know he's a good actor and all.
Yeah.
But in this role, he's like really good.
He plays it so well. Like, it's like he understands the character.
He does, and like he's one of those characters that you love to hate.
Right.
Because I mean, like every time he opens his mouth, you wait for what he's gonna say next.
Yeah. He steals the scene.
Every single time.
Yeah.
You wait for him. You wait for him to, you know, to open up and. Like you just wait for it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, and there isn't too many people like that. Like in the acting world, I feel that like you just hang on every word.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of those people where it's just like you're hanging on every word. And you're like, what? You know,
Yeah.
you just wait for it.
Right.
You know? So, yeah, it's good. I'll probably watch a little bit more tonight.
Yeah, I'm 3 episodes in. I mean, it's only 5 episodes, but all 3 episodes have been very well done.
Oh yeah, I think it's great.
And I mean, and it's not just an offer. I mean, I think it's playing well into like, it's telling an interesting story so far. And I almost kind of wish it had been longer, but I'm kind of glad it's not, because it's kind of like on a. It's like a runaway train. Like it's gonna get to the end quick.
Yeah.
You know, there is no fluff whatsoever. It's here we go.
Right.
You know, but I've really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I hope it finishes strong.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Also, like episode 1, having Daredevil show up.
I know. And also, as well, this is a Disney product, right?
Yeah, it's Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, it's good that they're.
Because it does have the MA rating. It does tell you at the beginning. It says, for mature audiences. This isn't. There is a great deal of blood.
I like how Disney's doing that too, because Deadpool's coming out.
Right.
Do you think Deadpool's going to get an MA?
Well, I think it's going to be R.
I know that.
In
but do you think
theaters,
it'll get an MA? It's different. MA and R are two different things.
Well, in theater, it's releasing. It's not Disney Plus. It's a Marvel movie in theater, so it'll have an R rating.
It'll have an R rating. Sorry.
Yeah.
For some,
Yeah.
I was thrown in there for a minute.
Yeah.
That's my fault.
So it's carrying the R rating. That's the one thing Ryan Reynolds is kind of guaranteed. Like,
it's funny we haven't seen any kind of trailer yet for it at all.
I don't think they're done filming.
Yeah. Well, usually they put out a little
I think
snippet.
I think that the writers and actors strike through that, because like they were filming, and then like it was kind of like, oh, okay, well that came to a screeching halt, and
Right.
now they kind of got to pick back up, and they haven't moved it out of whatever slot it's in.
I liked. I watched Deadpool this week too. Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
Man, that's good.
it is. It's really good.
It's funny. I know I'm going back to some of these old movies, but Deadpool's really good. I really enjoy with Deadpool. I really enjoy the love story, the background love story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole reason for the movie, really.
Right.
Is his,
Yeah.
his longing to be with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But man, there's something about her when she calls him Red. I'm just like, oh man, it's good.
Yeah.
You know. But it's just really good. I mean, I hope he knocks this. I hope he knocks this next one out of the park too.
Oh, so do I.
I hope it's a true, like. I hope it's a true, like, really good trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, I hope he goes out strong. And, I do. I just hope the film finishes like really good. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't care if Hugh Jackman's in it or not. I don't. I mean, like, I think it makes sense, right? Like, he talks about him in every single fucking movie he's in.
Yeah. No, like I like it. I like it. I mean, you can't avoid the spoiler pictures, and he's in it, but he's in the suit.
And he's in the yellow suit.
Yeah.
Yellow and blue.
Yeah. Which like just makes it all that much better.
Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic.
Like the only thing that tops it off is if there's at some point like Tom Holland, Spider-Man, and Deadpool have like a.
I know. And I hope that happens. Because the whole Deadpool Spider-Man's a big thing. You know what I mean? Like, I hope it does happen. But it's just, God, these movies are so fucking good.
Yeah.
And musically, they just picked out the perfect songs for those movies.
I agree, yeah.
I mean, the songs are absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And it fits into... It just fits into who Deadpool is.
I mean, especially like the opening of the first movie with Just Call Me Angel.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's like so well done.
I know. So well done.
Yeah.
I mean, soundtrack alone is worth the price of admission, I think. I mean, to be quite honest with you, it's just so good.
Yeah.
He really does well with his movies. I mean, even movies outside of Deadpool, he really does well.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Reynolds is like, he was that guy who was kind of like floundering for a long time, like, and finally found his niche.
Well, the funny thing about it is everybody knew once they saw that X-Men
Yeah,
with him as Deadpool, well,
Yes. as Wade.
as Wade.
Yeah,
When he came across that fucking thing with them swords, I'm like, that is fucking Deadpool.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just the way he talked. Everything about him was Deadpool.
yeah,
And so, you knew.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, it was inevitable.
right.
It was like almost destined.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, he's the perfect Deadpool.
yeah.
And it's not just even that. It's not just even because I'm pretty sure he's in the suit most of the time. I think, right?
I can't remember, like in the Wolverine movie.
No, I mean in the suit in his movies. He's in the suit.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
I mean, he may not be doing all the stunts, but he's in this. Like,
yeah. I'm fairly certain he's like, unlike Pedro Pascal, like I'm pretty sure he's in the suit the majority of the time.
but what I'm saying is like, Deadpool has a. I don't know how to describe it. Deadpool has a definitive way he acts.
Yeah,
And like with the head nods and you know what I mean, like that kind of shit. That is Deadpool.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where he just does brilliantly. It's not just the acting; it's how he physically plays
Yeah.
the character.
right.
Because I mean, that's him. I mean, there's no mistake about it. That's Deadpool.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So, anyway, I don't know. I love the characters. I never collected the comic, though. I don't know why. I always liked the comic, and I drew them all the time.
yeah,
But I never... I mean, I had a couple comics with Dead, but nothing like... You know, he wasn't like a huge character for me to collect. I don't know if it's because it came after... You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that
But
initial
I
rush.
think my big problem with Deadpool was always like he became the new Wolverine. Like there was a time where like Wolverine was in everything. Like he was like the guy.
Right.
And then when Deadpool came around and his popularity exploded, it was kind of like even before the movies and stuff. Like it was like Deadpool was everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like he was in every comic book. He was, you know, they were finding ways to shoehorn him into everything. And,
Yeah.
and I get that. Like when you have an iron that's hot, you use it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like an oversaturation, much like it oversaturated Wolverine for quite some time.
Yeah. Well, it was funny with Wolverine, though. He got oversaturated in the comic,
Yeah.
and then he got oversaturated in the movies.
Right.
And that was part of the problem I felt with the whole X-Men enterprise, is because they focused more on the big three than they did anybody else in the series. Even Scott Summers. Scott Summers was a huge character.
Yeah.
Not that I really like. Well, that's not true. I like Cyclops.
Yeah.
But they really really focused on. They really just focused like every single movie. There was a Wolverine base or Professor X base or a
Right.
Magneto base.
Right.
You know, and even when they redid them,
Yeah, they still stuck.
they
With
still stuck with the same formula.
it. Yeah.
You know, even as good as Days of Future Past is, it still centers around
Like, yeah.
Wolverine.
Right. The only thing they added was like Mystique was now the fourth.
Correct. And the only thing they really added, yes, Mystique in the fourth. And the only thing that they really added, which was a brilliant move, and they'll probably never get him back, was Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
which was an incredible character add-in. You know what I mean?
But the funny thing about Quicksilver is like his character wasn't that interesting, but he had always had that one moment of like, here's Quicksilver doing stuff, you know, the high speed, like, you know, the first movie it was the kitchen scene. You know, the second movie it was the getting everybody out of the mansion scene. Like it was never like the character of Quicksilver was never that interesting overall.
Right.
but it was always like he had that moment to shine, and you were just like, oh, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah, and I would love to see how good would it be to see Quicksilver taking on Thanos and his army in the fucking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like amazing, right? So I don't know. I really he was, believe it or not, he was one of my favorite parts about, especially in Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
But he was one of my favorite parts in that film, and I really like Mystique, and I really like Fassbender.
Yeah.
I mean, Fassbender just.
Yeah, I mean, if you've listened to this podcast, you know, like, we can't talk enough about Fassbender.
Huh?
If you've listened to this podcast in the past,
He's
you know we can't talk enough about
fucking
Fassbender.
good as Magneto.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I like him better than Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just like, he commands the screen.
Yeah.
When he's one of those people, especially, well, in those movies, when he speaks, you listen. You listen to what this guy has to say, and like he's the villain that you love to hate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he's also that villain that, like, it's like, maybe he's a little right.
I know, but I never really. I guess my thing is I never really hated him.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's twisted, but you know.
But especially
Like the plane scene. I mean,
yeah, like the
and the woods scene.
Yeah, like that version of Magneto, you're kind of like, there's a bit of truth in there, you know.
While Charles was huddled away,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
this was what was going down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I liked it. So anyway, enough about it. We already talked so much about it. I have a question for you.
Okay.
How old were you when you started playing Dungeons and Dragons?
I want to say I was like 10.
And what got your dad into it? Because your dad used to be the dungeon master.
Right. Well, with my dad, it was, you know, he was already playing like board games, like he would have like those giant maps, and he was you know, recreating like sea wars at sea, battles at sea, like with like World War II stuff. Like, he was into a lot of stuff like that, like the ones where you have like the little like cardboard pieces on the hexagon board, like, you know, you had like a giant map that was all made of hexagons, and, you know, like there was a lot of that he used to do.
Uh-huh.
And I think he saw Dungeons and Dragons as an entry point. Like, okay, well, let's get you into this, and then this could take you somewhere else.
I see.
Like, I don't think he himself was into Dungeons and Dragons, but I think like he saw the game as like something that you could use as like a introduction to like this world of this other stuff.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Because I know you're really into it. I mean, I played a couple times too with you guys, but
Yeah.
you guys were pretty heavily involved.
Yeah, and then, like, I mean, you know, I found other people. Like, it became that thing of, like, oh, here's a group of friends who are all into Dungeons and Dragons. And now, you know, my Saturday nights as a teenager were, you know, spent in Jack Knoll's basement playing Dungeons and Dragons and wondering why I wasn't getting laid. You know, like, why can't I meet girls? Well, because I spent every Saturday night down in this basement.
What's that?
Well, why can't I get laid? Well, it's because you're spending every Saturday night in this basement instead of, like, doing what any other 14-year-old was doing.
Right.
You know,
right.
like, no, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
So, but I mean, like, I don't regret that either. Like, I you know, it's something I wish. It's something I wish I had the time and the money to do still.
Okay.
Like, it's that thing of, like, trying to find people who, you know, get together once a week. I also, like, my schedule is such that, like, you know, like, oh, we have a game every Tuesday. Well, I'm not playing on Tuesday. I'm working. you know.
Right.
You know, Tuesday night I'm working, you know. So it's that thing of like, there was a time in my life where I could make the time and have that availability and spend 4 hours playing with my friends.
Right.
Or, you know, now, you know, that just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know,
So when did you? So another question for you. I thought about this. When did you become a Batman fan?
oh, I mean, that was probably as a little kid watching the Adam West Batman stuff.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Because, like, it's that funny thing of, like, I mean, you know, you had, you know, Superman, like the 50s Superman, which was, I mean, like, it wasn't like the villains, like the thing that Batman had was like, it had all the villains.
Yeah.
It had the Joker, it had the Riddler, it had the Penguin, you know. Like with Superman, like that Superman show from like the 50s, it was like, you know, Superman against a gangster.
Right,
you know?
right.
And it, you know, he'd show up and save Lois Lane from the gangster, and the gangster would shoot at him, and you know, then throw his gun at him, and Superman would duck. You know, it was shit like that. That was like, it wasn't as cool as. Everybody's excited because the Texans are beating up on the Browns. So that's the background noise. But but Batman, like, it was like, 'cause, like, Batman 66 was like so like over the top, and it felt like a comic book.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it was like, oh wow, this is like, you know, and I mean, if you remember, like, back there was that time where like Batman was kind of like that. There was, you know, the giant typewriters and, you know, the goofy traps, and like that's what Batman was.
Right.
You know, it wasn't until the 70s when they kind of made him into the, you know, the world's greatest detective and the brooding bat and stuff like that. Like, in the 50s and 60s, Batman was very colorful, and it was like, you know, goofy.
Yeah, right.
You know, but I fell in love with Batman based upon, like, you know, the Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get into like the Super Friends.
Right.
You know, like that was. It's the same way. I mean, I you know, my introduction to Spider-Man was via the cartoon from like the 60s.
Yeah. Oh, mine too.
You know, later on, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and stuff like that. But like, it was as goofy as it was. Like, between the Super Friends and Batman 66, like, that was like, that swayed me to the DC side very quickly.
Right.
You know.
Well, I can remember watching. I mean, I watched Super Friends and all that stuff, but I was a really big fan of the Spider-Man, the old Spider-Man, and I just became infatuated with the guy.
Yeah.
You know, my background, real quick, not take long, but my background was, you know, that was my first, and like, when I first got up here,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't have any friends.
Yeah, you were like 3.
4, I think.
Yeah.
But even growing up, you know, it takes a while to make friends. I mean, I, of course, instantly latched onto my friend Doug.
Right.
And then, of course, you, because, I mean,
Right.
we were always together.
Right.
But other than that, I really didn't have anybody. I really didn't start making friends till about the end of middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would say the end of middle school.
Yeah.
So I had Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I just connected more to him than I did, say, Superman and, say, Batman.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I love the guy.
Yeah.
See, I did. I mean, and everybody knows. Everybody knows who, like, really knows me, knows that, you know, Spider-Man's the ultimate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love him, you know. But yeah, so I was just curious on where the Batman thing really came from. I think I already knew, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, and then, my love of anime comes from Speed Racer and and called Star Blazers, but it was Space Battleship Yamato and.
It's funny with my experience with anime. I would agree with Speed Racer, but did we even call it anime back then?
No.
We just called it Speed Racer. So I get it, but I think my first real, in the realm of quote anime, would probably have to come. It probably came from Akira.
Yeah.
Was the first anime that I really watched. And I don't really, but I never moved past that.
Right.
You would think Akira would jumpstart everything, and I'd be all into it,
right.
Manga and all that stuff. I never quite got there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of the shows now, especially Japanese, even Korea,
Yeah.
South Korean, or the movies, the shows, the TV shows, and movies are very much like anime.
Yeah.
Just in real
Right.
form, And so I appreciate that, but I still
Yeah.
As I take that back, it's probably my introduction to anime was probably Akira, number one. But it was probably as weird as this is gonna sound, but it was probably more like Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, the games.
Right.
Because if you ever played Street Fighter, that's complete anime.
Yeah.
The way they talk, the way they move, the way
Yeah.
they look, it's anime.
Right.
Look at Chun-Li for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
But so that was probably my first real introduction to anime. I'll never forget it. And a lot of people know this, and a lot of people may not, because they weren't mall rats like I was.
Right.
But we had Operation Wolf and Double Dragon and Contra, and we had all these games out. 720, just to name a few.
Right.
This is post Pac-Man, post Tempest, post all those games. But when they came out with those games, so we played those games for a little while, and all of a sudden Street Fighter, and that was the real game changer, and it was like I said, the first introduction to I think anime that I've seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, when Tekken came out, I never got into Tekken, but I appreciated what it was, but I just could never get into it. But Tekken was sort of anime-ish too, in a sense. Not as much as Street Fighter, though.
Ninja Gaiden was also kind of anime-ish.
Oh. Don't even get me started on Gaiden.
I know.
I love Ninja Gaiden. I love it. But yes, a lot of the video games, a lot of the anime went right into the video games.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Because it was influenced by it.
Sure it was.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But stuff like that, like you said, I didn't realize that this was anime until I got to Robotech.
Okay.
And with Robotech, it was well, okay, if you like this, then here's this. This is, it's called, Macross, which was basically what Robotech was, but it was the Japanese had taken that as a franchise and kept morphing it.
Right.
It was holy shit, okay, there's a lot to this. And then you kind of learned more from there, and then, that opened the door to Bubblegum Crisis, and that opened the door to Gunsmith Cats, and there was doors that kind of kept opening, and you're okay, there's the problem became you ended up relying on third generation bootleg copies.
Right.
That it got grainy, and you're like, oh, this is bad, you know. But,
Yeah.
but like, it's the only way you can watch. Like, I was watching Godzilla movies at the time, like. It was like in Japanese with Korean subtitles.
Nice.
Like
nice.
I had no fucking clue what was going on, but you know, I'm watching the latest Godzilla movie because of this. You know,
Right.
You know, so it was like shit like that. But that shit also got expensive.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it was like, you know, wow, like, you know, I gotta know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. You know, so. Like, I mean, it's a heyday now because of like Crunchyroll and stuff like that. That like they just bring all this stuff over.
Right.
And like I'm like, kind of jealous of like, you don't understand. You know.
Right.
Here, that. And then of course there's Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, like, you know, we talk about fandoms and stuff. And, you know,
Yeah.
that's what we discussed. Star Wars is home.
It's our living breath.
Yeah, it is. Well, the reason I bring it up too, you know, is because there have been some announcements this week
Okay.
in regards to Star Wars. The two big ones that apparently Jon Favreau will be directing a Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
And you know, they've announced that they're they're going into production with season 2 of Ahsoka,
Right.
which makes sense from a story standpoint because I don't think you can do like the big movie until you get Ahsoka home.
Right.
So this season's got to be about her getting home and about Thrawn wreaking havoc with the New Republic.
Right. Right.
You know, setting up the movie.
Right.
But I'm intrigued. Like, what intrigues me is like, what do you do with a Mandalorian movie?
I don't know.
Like, it makes sense, like, to have like him involved in the battle against Thrawn. Like, is he going to be? Because he, like, at the end of that last season, you know, he was kind of setting himself up to be like, yeah, I'll work jobs for the New Republic. You know, but I'm working with you.
Right.
You know, or through you, and it kind of becomes like one of those things where it's like, to me, like, okay, is that what the movie's going to be? Is the movie going to help set part of that plot as well? Like, you know, Mando's the one who verifies that Thrawn has returned.
Right. Right.
You know, he goes to Dathmore and he finds out, you know, oh shit, you know. Like, I mean, it's like an interesting thing because, like, to me, like, both of those series are intertwined in a way because they have to lead to that big Mandoverse movie. It's going to be directed by Dave Filoni.
Right.
You know, I'm intrigued to see how that goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I trust Favreau. You know, I mean, even though I don't think he I think he directed the pilot episode of the first season.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, he's been an executive producer the majority of the time. Like I don't think he's directed other than that pilot episode. So I'm intrigued to see like how he treats a movie. I'm intrigued to see what the story of that movie is as well.
Right. Right.
But also, like, I'm really interested in Ahsoka season 2 because I want to see how that plays out. I want to see also like how much does Anakin play into that?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, she saw Anakin's ghost at the end of the, you know, there's Anakin as a Force ghost talking to her.
Right.
You know, what's going on? There's a lot of interesting pieces of the puzzle that I'm intrigued to see how they come together.
Right.
You know.
I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think so. Like Favreau helming a movie, does that excite you then?
What's that?
Favreau helming a movie, that kind of gets you a little excited.
Yeah, it does because I trust him.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm saying is like, I think he has Star Wars at his heart.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna make it right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's just not sloughing it off to somebody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But also, it's like that kind of like that thing of like, you know, at this point, like it's like he's so entrenched. Like I wonder how much of this was him with The Mandalorian. Like, I know Dave Filoni's been a guiding force for this whole thing.
Right.
But like, I wonder how much of this was like his idea. His like, this is what I want to do. If you want to bring me to Disney, if you want to bring me to Lucasfilm,
Right.
this is what I want to do.
Right.
You know, this is my idea of what I want to do.
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, we're going to put you with Dave Filoni because he knows his shit, especially about Mandalorians, because he's written the book.
Right.
And, you know, so there's a lot of, like, interesting, like, pieces, like, behind the scenes that intrigue me about, like, where this is all at. And then there was the other thing, and I don't know the woman's name, and forgive me because I didn't keep an article on it. But, you know, they announced that, you know, the Rey movie's coming as well.
Yeah.
That's going into pre-production right now. And the woman who's the director of it, she was quoted as saying, I want to make a Star Wars movie that'll make men uncomfortable.
Okay.
And I was a little taken aback by that. Not because, like, I'm like, you know, I'm not anti-Rey. Like, I'm pro Rey. I like her character. Could it have used more development? Absolutely. You know, does the character suffer from being in 3 movies that didn't connect properly? Absolutely. But, you know, like, why would you take... And I'm not doubting the director. Like, I don't know any of her work off the top of my head. But it's like, why would you come out and say like that? Like, it put me off a little bit. Like, I was like, really?
Yeah, I don't really understand the quote.
No. Like, I like, if you want to make Rey a powerful character, if you want to make her a better character, I'm all for that.
Right.
You know, I'm right there with you. I want her to be a better character. I want to see where that story goes. You know, how does she go about trying to reform the Jedi Order, or is she even trying to reform the Jedi Order? What is her goals?
Right.
But at the same time, like what do you mean by like?
I don't even understand the statement.
No, like I don't.
And I don't even understand where it holds a place in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know.
Like, I get it. Like, if you want to say, like, if you want to attack the toxic fan base, and there is a toxic fan base in Star Wars that, like, you know, did nothing but like send mean tweets to the one who was in the one who was in The Last Jedi, and then Kelly Tran. Like,
they.
Yeah, I mean, they just, you know, destroyed her
Right.
for no reason.
Yeah, I've never understood that either. Now, it's interesting we're bringing up Star Wars because I just watched the last 2 movies.
Okay.
And I do not understand why they just swept her under the rug on the last movie.
Because J.J. Abrams didn't know what to do with her.
I mean, could have done something with her.
Like, that character wasn't on the phone. Like, I honestly believe, like, deep in my heart, like, J.J. Abrams actually had a plan. But he didn't want to execute that plan. Like, I think he just wanted to do the first movie, and he wanted to produce the second and third.
Okay.
And, you know, I think when Lucasfilm then went to Rian Johnson, and Rian Johnson's like, well, here's my idea.
Yeah.
And because nobody was kind of like, well, hold on. You know what I mean? Like, I think J.J. Abrams had a plan for movie 1, movie 2, movie 3. And you get Rian Johnson putting in his movie, which nobody checked. Like, it was like, yeah, it doesn't contradict anything, so we'll let it go. When the meantime, it contradicted everything.
Yeah.
Then you bring Abrams back, and he has his idea of what he wanted to do.
Right.
And you're giving him a bunch of stuff that he had, like, in the second movie, like, where are the Knights of Ren? Who suddenly appeared in the third movie as a bad
Weak sauce
synth rock band, you know? And it was just that whole thing of, like, it was as a weird, like Abrams was like, okay, well, I'm sticking to my guns. This is my idea. You know, it was Palpatine all along. This is how I'm going to explain it. And it's like, oh, you know what I mean? And then along the way, like this toxic fan base arises.
Sure.
That's just like, well, this sucks, she's stupid, I don't like her, like, and like the majority of it, like there's some valid criticisms. Like there are. Like I'm not going to deny that for a second. The movies don't connect. Rey's character isn't that well developed.
No, I agree.
You know, Finn's character gets completely tossed to the wayside,
Which was a shame.
You know, it was just so much that was like just diminished because there's no connective tissue.
I thought Phasma's character got fucking diminished too.
Which one?
Phasma.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, she became the Boba Fett of.
Correct.
You know.
I agree. I think there were a lot of problems with it, but there were some good moments too.
There were.
There was a lot of good moments, and there was a lot of bad moments.
Right.
But it just kind of got weird. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of got very strange.
Right. But like my point is like if the toxic fan base that exists that wants very weirdly the blonde-haired, blue-eyed hero in a very very German way. You know, that fan base. Like, if you want to piss off that fan base, I am all for it. Piss them off. But don't sit there and be like, well, I'm just going to make, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, make an entire movie of, like, oh, it's all women? Like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I was just like, this isn't, like, why are we attacking the fan base like this? If you want to attack the toxic fan base, attack them. But, like, me... Like, I'm a guy, I'm supporting this.
Well, I never found... I don't know. I never found that the Star Wars universe, especially with the release of the new ones,
yeah,
and even the Clone Wars, not Clone Wars, but the prequels. I never felt that it was like gender biased toward men. I mean, the whole focal center behind the new ones was Rey.
Right.
Although what they did with what's her name was bad, but I never felt and like they pushed Finn aside.
Yeah.
Leia was a strong presence in the new ones. I just didn't understand why. I just never felt that it was. I never felt that Star Wars has ever been gender biased. I don't.
Well, I mean, like, even like if you go back to the originals, like Leia is not the damsel in distress.
And she even says it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about, like, where can you trace back to, like, a strong female character, like, that's a good place to start, is Princess Leia in the first movie. You know?
Yeah. Even the second movie.
Even the third movie, yeah. Like, she's a leader, there's a lot more to her than just a damsel in distress, which she's not.
But also, too, with the other stuff, like Mon Mothra, I mean,
yeah.
There's powerful women in powerful places making decisions.
Right.
It's not men.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've never found it that... I've never found that was a thing in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
I mean, there's tons of female roles and characters that are very strong.
Right.
It's not male-centered.
You go to the prequels, Amidala, Padme is a very strong character.
Yeah.
Like, maybe at the end you're kind of like, oh, that's weak sauce, but, she died because she was sad.
Yeah, right.
But outside of that, like, I don't know, it's just, it becomes that thing of, like, there's so much, like, especially, like, from men, like, of gatekeeping, like, you know, it's like the, you know, the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Like, no girls allowed. And it's like, why not?
Right.
You know, let's go back to what I said, you know, not too long ago in the beginning of this podcast.
Right.
I was a guy in my basement wondering, why am I not getting laid? Well, I would love for that to have had that female fandom back then.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I would welcome that in.
Right.
You know, and it's like this funny thing of like now guys are like so protective of, you know, this is mine, not yours. Go watch Barbie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, let's welcome them in. Let's bring them in because, you know, you're not getting laid sitting in your basement reading comic books. And,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, going on some message board and, you know, complaining about, you know, how awful Ray was. And, you know, why couldn't, you know, Poe have been. You know, it's like, what? No.
Yeah, I felt when, getting back to it, when you make a statement like that, it's going back to, you know, it's going back to, I don't even know. I can't understand the statement.
Yeah. Like that statement, like if you want to say that to like the toxic fan base, I get it.
That's what I meant. I mean, like, it's such a broad statement to make.
It is. Because I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? Like, I have supported the you know, I had problems with the character that Kelly Marie Tran played, but I don't have a problem with Kelly Marie Tran. And I'm certainly not sending her, you know, tweets at all hours of the day telling her what a horrible, ugly, you know, person she is, because that's the furthest thing from the truth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but there are people that do that. Like they get off on that, and it's like I think in any fandom, it's like, you know, what are you doing?
Right.
You know, like I always hated. Like, if you see a girl wearing, like, a Metallica t-shirt, there's always some jagoff who's going to be like, name 5 songs.
Right.
Yeah. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
Like, who cares?
Right.
You know, guess what? She's wearing a Metallica shirt. That's cool enough for me.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right. No, I know.
You know what I mean? But there's always, like, that jagoff. And it's like in everything. Like, you know, you wrestling fandom. There's a woman and she's wearing a Bullet Club t-shirt, you're like, who's your favorite members of Bullet Club? Like, why are you asking that fucking question? Who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Like, you know, it's like chasing the girl out of the comic book shop. You know, like, why are you doing that?
Right.
Like, I want her here. You know,
she needs to be here.
Yeah. I love when she brings friends.
Yeah, I need this in my life right now.
Yeah. The band of the hand is not getting it done anymore. You know.
Right.
So I mean, like it's stuff like that like there's just like this odd like gatekeeping and like all fandoms where I'm just like, why are we doing this?
Right.
Like, do you need this to be your private clubhouse that badly?
What's that?
Do you need this to be like your private clubhouse that badly? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just find that fascinating. I do, because I don't want it to be a private clubhouse. I want to, you know,
right.
I want to invite the girls in.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I'm alfalfa. You know.
Alfalfa.
Yeah. Spanky and the rest of the guys can keep the girls out. I'm inviting the girls in.
Right.
Come on in, Darla.
Yeah, come on, Darla.
Yeah. I can't believe we're all little rascals on this.
Yeah. Anyway. So, what do you think about? I know I'm kind of leading this for some reason today. But
that's cool.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the Steeler game coming up?
Well,
not to get into too sports heavy, but what do you think?
I think the Steelers' biggest advantage has just been taken away from them with them moving the game. And I understand why you're moving the game. The game was supposed to be at 1 o'clock on Sunday, and they moved it to 4:30 on Monday. And I thought, and it's because of snow. And there's supposed to be like 2 feet of snow in Buffalo on Sunday.
Right.
And it's like, I understand why you did it. Like, from a safety standpoint, for people trying to get to the game, for everybody involved, let's push it to Monday. That's cool. However, like, what that takes away is that could have become, again, another run heavy, we're going to run the ball 50 times, and it plays into the Steelers' favor because of Najee and because of Warren.
Right.
Like, I mean, that would have been a game that, like, if the running game becomes dominant, it plays to their favor. Like, I remember a couple years ago, the Patriots went into Buffalo, and it was like 50-mile-an-hour winds or something ridiculous.
Right.
And the Bills were still trying to throw the ball, and the Patriots ran it 60 times.
Right.
They threw 2 passes the entire game. Like, it was like, and they only completed one of those. Like, and it was like one of those things where it was like, Bill Belichick looked at the weather conditions and said, "Yeah, we're not throwing the ball. We are running." And the Patriots won the game.
Right.
Where the Bills still trying to execute their game plan,
Right.
which was throwing the ball with Josh Allen, and the wind just wasn't letting it happen. So, again, I really thought, like, if the weather conditions are that bad, based upon what I saw last week in Baltimore in that monsoon, the Steelers could definitely adjust their game plan and go run heavy, and will probably pull out a win because of it.
Right.
They'll probably win a game, 13-9 or something.
Yeah, something weird.
Something
low
weird.
score.
Yeah. But it would be a win either way.
Right.
Now you're getting out of the snow globe and moving it to Monday. It's still supposed to be high winds, but I don't think you're calling for snow on Monday. And I mean, that definitely, if that's the case, like you probably play more, and like maybe Buffalo has a better chance now.
So, do you think Buffalo's a better ground game?
No, I think the Steelers do.
So, if you're not airing out the ball and bad winds, then
right. But, I mean, it could still, like, depending on how bad the winds are. I mean, if you're talking like 20-mile-an-hour winds, I mean, that's still playable.
Yeah.
If it's 50-mile-an-hour winds, now you're talking a problem.
Right.
But like, I honestly do believe, like, if it would have been in the snow, it would have favored the Steelers.
Right. I think so too. I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, if we're playing in snow, I think we got a chance.
Because I think, like, especially Najee, it kind of shown he's at least last week, he's a weatherback.
Yeah, I know. I won't put my stamp on that. I mean, I get what he's done this year, and I get it, but I just.
Yeah, you do not like Najee Harris.
I do not.
No.
I just do not. I just don't think he's. I just do not. I don't have faith in that guy.
As long as he's running between the tackles, I'm happy with him.
Right.
The second they start trying to, like, run him to the outside, that's when you have a problem.
Right.
He is a downhill runner, not a east and west runner. Now,
Right.
Warren, if you want to start running pitches with Warren, he's the guy to do that.
Right.
He's got the speed to do that. Najee does not. That's not his game. But that when you see him failing, it's usually when it's because they're pitching the ball out now.
You know what? You know what I like about Warren? Not only is he has the speed, but dude has some fucking power.
Oh, he does. He absolutely does. I mean,
And I think his power. I think a lot of his power also comes with his size.
Yeah.
His center of gravity.
Yeah.
Is like really good. So when you see that stiff arm,
Yeah. No, I agree.
he's centered.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's not a lot to give.
Right.
Like he's doing that stiff arm, and he looks like it's almost like he's like one of those. What were they called? The old muscle men.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The orange muscle men.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When he's sitting with that stiff arm and how
Yeah.
the legs are out like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like his center of gravity is so good that stiff arm's coming from everything he's got.
And he's got thighs like tree trunks.
I know. Dude's tough.
He is.
And I think that's what I like about him. Like I said again, do I think he's a lead back? No, I do not. I do not think he's a lead back. But do I think he can I don't know, gain 1,000 yards a season? Yes, I do. Because the thing I like about him is he can break it.
Right.
And he's got moves. Does he have moves like Sanders? No, he does not. But does he have moves yet?
But I like him as an all-around back and not the bell cow. Like, I like Najee as the bell cow. And Warren has 1,000 all-purpose yards.
Yeah, I know.
Which I think is better suited for him.
Right.
Like, I like him coming out of the backfield. I like him, they get him into space and then he turns that into something. Where with Najee, it's like, I want to run between the tackles and, he is going to gain 4, 5, 6 hard yards. He's going to wear you down.
Right.
And then they're going to bring in Warren, and Warren is going to just, take it to the outside and run right past you.
Right.
So, I have a fantastic 1-2 punch, and I think it would have worked great in the snow globe. I'm not taking anything away from Mason Rudolph, but that's just if that's the conditions, that's what you're playing.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And I think now this game has to fall a little bit, depending on the conditions. On Monday, it's going to fall a little bit on Mason Rudolph's shoulders, and I'll be honest, that makes me nervous.
Well, sure, it makes me nervous, but he's had good numbers going into this game.
Right.
So we'll see.
Right. As he played well.
That's the first positive thing I probably ever said about Mason.
Right. It just it pisses me off when I hear all these people like, oh, well, he should be QB1. He should be, well, we don't need another quarterback. We got Mason Rudolph. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. What planet are you from?
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and defend Kenny Pickett. He didn't play well this game.
No.
I can't deny that. But at the same time, Mason Rudolph also has a history of not playing well.
No, I believe me, I know.
And
most of the Steeler fans out there should know it too.
Right. But they're just fawning over themselves right now. Like, oh, I love Mason Rudolph, and he's such a good guy.
No, he's the hot ticket right now.
Right. And it's like, you don't remember?
Right.
Him tying Detroit? And you can say whatever you want about, he didn't know he was going to start. It was a last-minute decision, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. He looked awful.
Right.
And anytime he's played, he's looked awful until now.
Right.
And he's had just a good run.
Yeah.
When does that good run end? Well, it may end on Monday.
I hope it ends in the Super Bowl.
I hope so, too. So, one last little piece of nerd news. They announced they're going to be doing a Star Trek movie.
I know, I saw that.
Decades before Kirk.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be directed by the guy who directed. I should be professional and have the article up.
Yeah.
But,
Come on, professional.
I know. The guy who directed he's directed episodes of Dark Mirror and Andor is tapped to helm the new Star Trek movie. Paramount has officially announced that they're developing a new Star Trek feature film. It'll be the first Star Trek movie since the release of Star Trek Beyond in 2016, and the 14th Star Trek movie overall. The new film will be directed by Toby Haynes, a prolific British television director who has helmed episodes of MI High, Doctor Who, the British version Utopia. His most recent directing job was 6 episodes of the hit Star Wars series Andor. Interestingly, he also directed the celebrated Black Mirror episode USS Callister, which was a darkly humorous riff on Star Trek and science fiction fandom. But this is supposed to take place decades before Kirk in the Kelvin universe.
Okay.
I'm all for something like that. I need a Star Trek movie.
Yeah, I know.
I think they've done a fantastic job with the TV shows, with Discovery, with Strange New Worlds, especially. You know, we've got Picard, especially season 3 of Picard. But like, it's interesting, like their movie division's just stuck in the mud for some reason. Like, they can't get any traction.
Right.
And I wonder, like, I wonder why that is in Paramount. Like, what is the holdup? Like, what is? It's like they want to do another, you know, Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto Star Trek movie, but they just can't seem to get a script. They can't seem to get director. Like, director comes in, and then like a few months later he jumps out. Like,
right.
It's like this odd thing of like, you know, why is this, you know, and it almost like begs the question of like, well, is there something you could do with the properties you already have?
Right.
Like, can we do a Strange New Worlds movie?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that would be awesome.
I agree. I agree.
Like, it's just this odd thing of like, and it's almost like they're saying like, okay, we can't get this shit together. Let's try something else.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them at this point, because it's like, man, you really, you know, it's been, you know, 7, almost 8 years now since there's been a Star Trek movie. That's one of the biggest gaps there's ever been.
Oh, I know. Believe me.
You know, it's unbelievable. It's like hard to think about, like, especially if you think like, man, you got your franchise together, you got your cast, you got your, you know, how hard is this? But but here we are.
I know.
You know, and it's almost like Paramount's like, okay, fuck it, we'll just do something else.
Right. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'd have milked that shit to the end.
Me too. Like,
With
yeah.
the cast that you had, and come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
They were young. They weren't wearing hair pieces. You know,
Right.
Spock wasn't in a robe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would have milked that shit to the end of the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, you had a really good cast
Yeah.
in those films.
Yeah.
And
And
like,
Simon Pegg as Scotty was phenomenal.
man, you fucked that up
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, that's a bad. I mean, and especially like Star Trek Beyond was so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, exceeded my. Like, I don't know who cut those trailers, but that person, I hope they are fired and you know, looking for work still, because those trailers were horrible.
Yeah.
I had no expectations for that movie, and when I saw it, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm telling you, they just fucked it up.
Yeah.
I don't. You talk about like, I mean, holy hell. You look at you look at the franchise and you look at what you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How can you mess that up so badly?
I don't know. It dumbfounds me.
It is. I mean, like, especially the cast. I mean, you had a renowned cast in there.
Yeah.
And you just jacked it up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
No.
Anyway.
But it does excite me that they're trying to do something. Like, I hope it's good. Like, I hope they, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how far back they're going. They're saying decades, but I mean, like, how far back can you go?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I gotta be interesting to see what they do. I hope it's good. And you know, if you're gonna give me a new ship design and stuff like that, I'm always.
Yeah, I know you love that.
I'm always into that.
Yeah.
You know, but
Anyway, let's wrap this shit up.
let's wrap this shit up. Anything like to add, sir?
I'm good.
All right. Well, remember there are a number of different ways you can reach out and touch us. You can send us an email, like Thad did. By the way, Thad asked that I read this, and I don't want to disappoint him. He does have a question, a legitimate question. Unlike most times where he's asking illegitimate questions.
Right.
He says, thank you for the update on Percy Jackson that you are not watching it. Is there any reason why you're not watching it? This is Nerd Lore, and your paid subscribers demand that you talk about your thoughts on the series. We don't have paid subscribers. This is free. I'm losing money on this every month.
Nice.
You know. Please make sure you get this on the show this week. What about Echo? Well, we talked about that. I need to be on the podcast to set you boys straight. Well, whatever. But I'll give you my answer. Maybe yours is a little different about Percy Jackson, but I am tired of like these.
What's that? No.
When it comes to Percy Jackson, like I'm just tired of the teen, preteen, the novel becoming a movie or TV show.
All right.
Like you had like Maze Runner and Divergent and like all the way to Potter. Like Potter was the start of all this.
Yeah, right.
Like, and it was like they took like every like book franchise that like was meant for kids and like turned it into a movie or a TV show. And here's another one where it's like he's whoever. I don't even know who he's. Poseidon's son, I think, or something like that. It's, and I'm just done.
Okay.
Like there's been too much of that. It's an oversaturated market, and it holds no interest in me whatsoever. So why do I like? There's a lot of other things I'm giving my time to. This just is not one of them.
Okay. Well, Ellie loves them.
Okay.
Which makes sense because she's in that age frame.
Right.
Now, what I've heard, I haven't watched it yet,
Right.
but the new Percy Jackson follows the book
Right.
very well.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like movies that follow the books.
Right.
So in defense of that,
Right.
and I get you're tired of it, but there's always going to be teen readers, and when they make movies into teen movies, quote,
Right.
end quote, I think the younger kids, get excited about that, and I am going to defend it.
Well, I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying I'm at the end of my rope with it.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
But at the same point, as a father of a teen,
Right.
I understand her excitement on things.
Right. No, I'm not even saying it's a bad
Because
show.
she dissed the movies.
Right.
Because
They didn't follow the book.
they did not. And like, she liked them okay, but they didn't follow the book.
Right.
And, like, if you know my child,
Yeah.
that kid is almost up to a library,
Yeah.
in quotes,
Yeah.
official with how many books that child owns.
Right.
I mean, she reads like a monster. She reads probably more than Mom and you did.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm not dissing it as saying that, it looked like, I didn't even like really watch trailers for it.
Okay.
Like, it was like, oh, they're doing Percy Jackson again. That's a pass.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I've heard good things about it,
Right.
but I'm just, at this point, it does not interest me.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm going to take those resources of mine, and I'm going to move them elsewhere.
Right.
To find something that does interest
And as for me, I do find it interesting because I like Greek mythology.
Right.
So, a lot.
Right.
Not because of Clash of the Titans, just because I've studied and
Right.
I like Greek mythology. Greek, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's Greek. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second.
Yeah.
But I do like it, and
Yeah.
so when I see these characters come to life, I'm excited about that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, for instance, Zeus and Thor.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you can understand why I would be so upset about that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I understand that. Yeah.
okay. So, when you destroy something that you love, it's just
Right.
sort of like, yeah, all right. But I will defend that because I think that I think there's a couple. Well, not a couple. The main reason, to cut it short, is I think it brings young readers into a world and history,
Right.
That they've never seen before.
Right.
And so anybody that catches on to that, I'm good with that, as long as they read up on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's my
Right.
take on it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm not dissing. I'm not saying it's horrible. It's just that at this point, I'm just not interested in it because I'm just not interested. in it.
I get it.
Yeah. So and that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know, if you're interested in it, like, good for you. Enjoy. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, just like people who watch Hamilton. Good for you. Enjoy. I'm not.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I get it.
So that's just where I'm at. Like, I'm glad you enjoy it though, Thad. I honestly am. I'm just not gonna watch it.
All right.
You know.
Cool.
All right. Like I said, our email address, like Thad wrote into and asked that question, PittsburghNerd@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. We're very, very easy to find. And you can also find us with a number of podcasting networks. It's the Tangent Network, the BB Geeks Network, and the Pod Breed Network. Give them a Google search. You can find all the other great podcasts that they have to offer. We want to thank Teresa and the staff here at the King's Seat
Yes.
for allowing us to come in and take over a table. And probably not the best idea to do it on the day of a playoff game, but maybe next time we'll do it on a day where there's no
Yeah, we'll
sports.
play it a little better.
Play a little better, but this is just a dry run, and we'll go from there.
Cool.
And if you're interested in them, they are on Facebook. I know that. Just search the King's Seat. They're in Irwin, Pennsylvania. If you want to check them out, and we want to thank you as always for taking the time to listen to us each every week. We can't thank you enough for your support. And on that note, the dreamer has awakened.
Peace.